We can
You
check
figured it out.
via YouTube, and then we could go from there. All right. Welcome, everybody, back to Soccer Wise, otherwise known as the Bro Corner. I've got the hat, I've got the jersey. USA Women's Rugby knocked off Australia. I'm loving USA right now. The middle of the Olympics, the middle of the men's Olympic game that we are watching. So for all of you watching live with us, welcome in. If you're listening later on, well, you missed a good one. But you can watch us at 2 p.m. Eastern time every single Tuesday and Thursday. Anytime you want to. Tom, name your 13 favorite Olympic events so far and your 7 greatest events this Olympics and how many times you've cried.
Handball has been electric.
Handball
Canoeing,
is good.
which I found out canoeing is a thing this year. I was watching a little judo that sparked in the Patreon Discord that I was like, bro, there's VAR in judo. This is pretty cool. I still don't know how they got points. They put up little yellow things. I was like, did he just get a yellow card? Why is there 2? Shouldn't he be sent off? And then obviously the pommel horse viral phenomenon that was yesterday was phenomenal. It's just like having this on in the background during the day and like looking up and being like, oh, is that former Houston Rocket Budlinger playing beach volleyball right now? Are you kidding me? This is incredible. And then I watch water polo and just feel the most unhealthy I've ever felt. What an incredible feat of athleticism and cardiovascular engineering. It makes me struggle just sitting in my office watching that.
Water polo doesn't make me feel bad because it seems so unhuman that it's like, well, those are different things.
Yeah.
Like I couldn't do that because like I'm not going to be able to. There's no person on the planet that can tread water for like 2 hours in a row and then also rip people up and down and play a competitive sport at the same time. Swimming makes me feel bad when they come out and you're like, oh, cool. So that's where all the muscles are supposed to be. I can see them while you're walking up to the platform. But I agree with you. Having it on the background is elite. The VAR in fencing is past the levels of judo. It's basically every point.
That's a good point.
They're just like, I got that point. And the other one's like, I got that point. And then it's like, yeah.
What did they do in the world before VAR?
No idea.
No wonder why, like, Pablo Torre did a podcast episode that I haven't listened to yet, and I keep on trying to remind myself to, just about, like, the rampant scandals and cheating that's gone on in fencing. And, like, apparently it still happens. Like,
I believe 2 American competitors have filed a lawsuit against one of the American Olympians saying that they worked with officials to cheat them out of the team. And they're trying to sue to get onto the team and pull that one off. So you got to think there's really good cohesion in that squad. Like that feels like a good locker room to be a part of for that one. Obviously, we are at halftime of the U.S. men's soccer game. The women 4-1 winners against Germany. They've already clinched their spot. We will be live tomorrow, 3 p.m. Eastern time, assuming based off stoppage time, right after that game as our live post-game show. So we won't do our normal 2 p.m. NWSL show for that one. And we will know, I believe, who the U.S. will have in the next round. I spent like a week talking about how the best third place teams in the men's competition get through because I just assumed there was the same amount of teams in the men's and women's Olympics. And there are not. There are less women's teams than men's teams. So there are third place teams in that one and not in this one. So the U.S. does need to win to get through. France is doing them a favor, I guess you could say, in beating New Zealand right now. As the second half kicks off, we've got a big show for you here. We're going to talk all MLS stuff, Leagues Cup, all that stuff while this game's going on. And then as stuff happens, we can react and shout about it. We've got a draft coming up, our first draft of Soccer-Wise history. So that's a big moment. We're going to do our best under 22 players. Big news that Tom has been breaking over the course of the week. Designated player signings in Minnesota and Atlanta. Some big other reports about players coming in potentially that we will touch on as things go along. And then we'll give you a little bit of a preview of this week of Leagues Cup action. It's broken up in 3-day segments, I believe. So today, Wednesday and Thursday night, there are Leagues Cup games across the board. We will have our second ever happy hour hangout for our MVP Discord and Patreon subscribers. That is coming up tomorrow at 5:30 p.m. It is a private Zoom link where you can come hang out and chat. We did our first one 2 weeks ago, I believe, when I was in Las Vegas. I was going to say in Las Vegas, and I was like, Tom was not in Las Vegas. But if he was hiding in a different corner of a casino than I was in, and I did not see him. So if you want to be a part of that, subscribe to the Patreon right now. You get into our Discord, you get our depth charts, you get our salary cap tables, all of that, as well as, of course, access to this at the MVP level, at the highest level of our subscribers. Tom, first half, we are into the second half of this U.S. Olympic game. 2 changes to the lineup. One forced Busio with an injury. So Busio came out, and then the other one, coaching decision, Duncan McGuire taken out. So Paxton Aronson starting at center forward, Griffin Yao on the field as well, and Dietz coming in at the defensive midfield spot. What have you made of this game?
Yeah, I think it's been very good. Hindsight is obvious that Paxton Aronson playing as a false 9 has been a very good decision. I was very glad to see Griffin Yao on the starting 11. And, like, when the lineup sheet came out, I was like, are they switching to a back 3? Because, like, I was like, I know Dietz can play defensive midfield, but, like, can he really, like, kind of at this level? And again, I think all of the coaching decisions have worked out. Kevin Paredes getting a goal. I want to go back to the macro because it's been so nice in these 2 games to watch American men's national team be the favorite and pretty overwhelming favorite, but there's still big stakes in the game, and you never know what's going to happen, to come out and be leading 2-0 after 30 minutes. Like, I feel like that's not something we got under Berhalter a whole lot in kind of big games, qualifying or anything else, of like, oh, they're supposed to win here. Oh, it's the 30th minute, still 0-0. Oh, okay, it's halftime, it's still 0-0. Now what? And now the pressure goes up. And the fact that they're killing people on set pieces is delightful to me. I've been saying that for 4, 5, 6 years now, that there's too much aerial dominance and should be enough technical quality on set pieces to deliver, that this team should be scoring more on set pieces. And at some point, it is no longer a luck thing that averages out. It's like the Colorado Rapids have been top 5 in MLS every single year for the last 5, 6 years in set piece dominance. Like,
Tom,
at that point,
it's
it's
a
not
direct
a
shot off of. What does it have to do with height?
I'm going back to the New Zealand game.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah, not everybody's going to be watching this live. I'm just talking about in a macro sense of these 2 games that these.
No, I just thought you were talking about the set piece today. I didn't realize Berhalter was going to get slammed in this. So
I'm just talking about
a strong start.
These general points that, like, we should be so much better at set pieces. And I feel like I've been screaming that for years. And so it's been very, very nice over the last 2 games to see them be very good at set pieces.
Yeah, and they've been very direct. I think to your point of, like, being the favorite team and getting early leads they've been very direct in their attack. And they've been aggressive early on in games to, at a minimum, put yourself in counter-pressing situations higher up the field, have your line of confrontation high, like play in the attacking third. And it's what we saw against New Zealand. It almost led to an early goal in this one where Guinea made a mistake playing out of the back and Griffin Yao had his shot tipped off the crossbar. And it's like all of that comes from just being in the attacking third. And that's what's going to happen sometimes. And so I agree with you. It's been really refreshing to see this team play direct. I've been calling for Yao to start for the first 2 games. Every time he's been on the field for this group, he's looked dangerous, and he's dangerous in a different way, I think, than the other attackers that have been a part of this team. And so it's been fun to watch in this one, and it's allowed, I think, Georgie to be a little freer. And part of that's Paxton Aronson as well. It feels like Georgie's floated off into the left. He's been dangerous. And then the Aronson ball and the Paredes goal was like chef's kiss beauty. And so now it's like, these are the things Aronson is great at. I think the final third stuff is not there with him, and it's what I've talked about of that final pass or shot decision-making and execution where middle third, like he's able to turn, he plays that through ball inside the defender, so the defender has to spin, Paredes able to cut across, and once you get Paredes in space, like he's going to dominate. He is awesome. He is so fun when you get him opened up and in space, and this, I think, has been his best game too. Definitely. Because he's gotten the most 1v1 chances.
Yeah, I agree kind of on all fronts, and to Paxton Aronson's final third contributions, I think that another year on loan in the Eredivisie, which he will have, is going to be a very big boon for that. That is a league that, I don't know, like you look at all the, like just going with Americans, like I know that it's traditionally like if you're a striker who can score, you're going to put up numbers there. If you're an attacker who can contribute to goals. You're gonna put up numbers there. Like, dude, Michael Bradley had like 16 goals one year when he was in the Dutch league. Like Josie Altidor's best season ever. You just kind of go there. Like, I think that's gonna help fine tune him because he's gonna get a lot of chances. And like, if he can't do it there, even at a young age, then we'd start to be worried. So like, I'm really looking forward to a full season of Paxton Aronson in the Eredivisie on loan.
Shout out to everyone in the chat who is watching live. Shout out to Morgan, who's on vacation and yet still committed to hanging out and watching the show. So that's awesome. Andrew Nystrom, nice to see you again. I think I saw you last week. Says, why do the fencers have leashes on them? I believe it plugs in the thing that tells the ref whether or not they got touched. Because again, VAR, no one knows what's going on in those games. So it's a great question. And that's what we're here for. As fencing experts who started this podcast to talk about fencing and saber and e-foil. I don't know if that word was right. This is what we're here to talk about. And this is what we're here to do. Reminder, Gianluca Busio injured. So he was pulled out of the team for this game. So he's not on the 18 player game day roster. Josh Atencio has been added in his place. You have to apply through the IOC and FIFA for that. Once you do that, you can then reapply to bring Busio back in when he is healthy. It is more lax than it has been in the past. In the past, it was you're on the team or you're an alternate. And if you're an alternate and you come in, that player can't return and the alternate stays in the team. That's not the case this year, mainly because like soccer players now play 755 games and trying to eliminate some of that stuff. I would not be shocked if at the next Olympics it's 23 player or 28 player rosters and there's no like joke about this or whatever, but that is the option. So that's the expectation. I think going forward, if Busio can get healthy, can come back into the team. The winners of this will play against the winners of, I don't remember the name of the group. Morocco finished top of their group. Argentina finished second. France most likely will be first in this group and will face off against Argentina, which is nuts in the knockout rounds. I believe there are 4 starters for that Argentina team that were in the World Cup because you've got the 3 starters. 2 of them are overage and Julian Alvarez and Nicolas Otamendi. Enzo Fernandez is just super young. And then Thiago Almada, who's in this team and scored a goal the other day. And then against France, obviously Thierry Henry coaching that team in France. France looking for revenge from the last World Cup. I read a piece that apparently Argentine teams are just getting booed out the gate in every event in France because of Enzo Fernandez song.
It's not Enzo Fernandez playing in this tournament.
Oh, that's not Enzo Fernandez in central midfield?
No, Ignacio Fernandez of Boca Juniors.
Damn. Well, that's probably good for Enzo Fernandez. I
think we'd hear a lot more about it.
So 3 World Cup players.
But your point remains. The squad is insane. Yeah.
Lacazette, of course, scored against the U.S. for France. A few talented players there. So that will be a wild game. And as of right now, it looks like the U.S. will face off against Morocco. They have been the second best supported team. So the atmosphere will be really good for that game because Morocco's connections to France. Hakimi getting the start for that Morocco team, one of the overage players. They've put some really good talent on the field. And Amir Richardson getting the goal for Morocco today could be in the matchup. He is American and Moroccan, and I think he had a third nation that he could represent. Currently playing in France. I
believe France would have been the third one.
Or maybe France was the third.
There's no point to speculate. There's no reason for me to make an educated guess there. I'm sorry.
Thank you for doing it, though, Tom.
Yeah, I call it, dude, hands up, accountability. That's on me. You know what I mean?
But he's getting starts for Morocco in central midfield. He was a player the U.S. was hoping would represent them. And his father played for the New York Knicks, Michael Ray Richardson. I believe he came to one of my basketball camps when I was younger and gave a talk. So me and him are very close.
Good personal friend.
Sugar Ray. I think his point of history is he was the first player suspended for drug policy issues in NBA history. That's his claim to fame.
Cool.
It's a tough claim to fame.
Cool.
Charlie's trying to figure out a bottom line to put up with this in the live show to go along the Sugar Ray Richardson.
It should just be LOL nerd at DOS.
So that's all coming up potentially for the next Olympic game. The U.S. still leading 2-0. Let's dig into our stuff here. And obviously,
eventually,
it's 102 degrees in here. I need to cool off. Give me the scoops. Let's go to the ice cream shop. Let's get the AC running, Tom. Hit me with it.
Yeah, first off, we'll go with the one that's now official, the biggest one of this group. Atlanta United has signed Alexei Miranchuk from Atalanta United. I was told the deal was worth around $13 million. contract through 2027 with an option for 28. He's 28 years old. He, wasn't an every game starter for Atalanta, but he still had he was really productive when he was on the field, both by box score numbers in goal contributions, again mostly chance creation, assists is what he's known for, and in terms of his underlying numbers, they were very elite for at his position, like upwards of 95th percentile in a lot of the chance creating metrics as per FBref. Those players usually do very, very well in this league. Garth Lagerwey, he has talked about this many times in the past. I'll just keep bringing it up because it's usually a harbinger of success. An in-prime player who has had success in multiple leagues. Alexei Miranchuk played really well in his native Russia, and then he went to Atalanta. He's played for Torino as well on loan, if memory serves well. He played somewhere else at Serie A. He's had success in multiple leagues. He's in his prime. He's going to come slot right in as a number 10 for this Atlanta United squad.
We have talked about this a little bit as the move has come up, as you have reported on it, and obviously at the forefront of the breaking news. So we've chatted about it a little bit. I think for Atlanta, promising to get it over the line as early as possible, to get the player in as early as possible, to start to build some things. It seems like it'll be Rob Valentino's job the rest of the year. The DC game was wacky and wild, but one of the things you see in that game and most games, they don't control games. They're dangerous. They can create. They can stay in games, but they don't control the tempo, and the inability to control the tempo does not allow them to dominate the game or have the game played the way they want. I went and watched a bunch of highlights, so shout out to all the DJs out there who kept me company through that whole experience. The name that popped in my head was Evander in watching him play.
Ooh, I like that.
Very tall, fluid, languid number 10. Pops into the channel on both sides, can finish himself, but also it seems to first and foremost be looking to create.
Correct.
And
First and foremost, this is about chance creation. That is his elite skill. If you take anything away from this conversation, if you're listening, that is the skill that they want to go on.
And I think with Evander, you look at a player who's a double-digit goal scorer, but is consistently at first looking to create for his teammates. But I think Portland's probably not the best example because they don't always dominate the flow of games, but they definitely have an ability to settle down and play through Evander when the game gets a little bit too hectic. And I don't believe that this Atlanta team has that. So it would be a really good addition for them. And they're scoring. All the pieces around him are in decent form right now. Saba looks good. Daniel Rios is on fire right now. Yep. Jean De Silva, when set up the right way, can be effective. So, it feels like a good time for a player like this to come into this team.
Absolutely. And like you said about dictating the tempo of the game and everything, he's just going to be a safety blanket. If you're in trouble, ping it at him, try to play out of pressure, all that stuff. So that's going to help. This midfield trio makes so much sense in theory. Bartosz Slisz, Tristan Muyumba, and Alexei Miranchuk. Muyumba has not been very good this year. Bartosz Slisz, I thought, has been up and down, mostly good, except for taking penalties against DC United, apparently. But, there's a lot to like about this team in theory, but I felt this, I keep on challenging myself, again, I think that this is a very good signing. I think that this will bode well for Atlanta United. But the issue wasn't, Thiago Almada was not very good this year for large swaths. So Miranchuk could be in addition there. But, Giacomakis and Almada were not the problem for this team. And Almada was an MVP finalist last year. So, in one breath, I think that this makes a ton of sense. I think it's a very good signing. I think it's going to make them better and pretty quickly, better from yesterday to tomorrow, right? But then I'm wasn't that Almada and Giacomakis? So I'm challenging my own kind of takeaway that this team looks like they should be really solid. The couple of the goals they gave up against DC United were elementary, and I don't know how you fix that sometimes.
Well, the punch off your own goal kick that Brooks Lennon heads back is tough. Or sorry, off corner kick is tough.
Between that and then the long punt that just. I forget if it was Gregerson or not. And Gregerson, I think he's an awesome player. And I'm my brain can't compute those two facts of this just simply can never happen. So I don't really know what to make of them going forward in the interim.
Yeah, it's tough because Muyumba is a really good player in MLS, has been consistent, and they are soft to play against one. I think one of the big issues for them is when you come